At exactly 10 o'clock my best friend sent me a video. In the clip, Chi Shunji was tilting his head back, letting his childhood sweetheart smear frosting all over his face. She was licking it off him like a dog inch by inch. While they both laughed with reckless abandon, I didn't hesitate. I grabbed a massive 9-inch cake and stormed through the doors of the private club. Tastes good, doesn't it, Chi Shunji? I sneered. With a violent shove, I slammed the cake directly into his expensive face. Frosting splattered everywhere, drenching Mo Qianqian. Mo Qianqian let out a piercing shriek. I reached out, grabbed a handful of her hair and shoved her face down into the remains of the cake. Lick it, since you love it so much. You're not leaving until every last bit is gone. Junjun, check the video now. Chi Shunji is losing his mind at the Ambience private club. The message from my best friend Lin Xiao lit up my screen like a jagged barb stabbing into my eyes. Then a 30-second video popped up. It was the Imperial Suite at Ambience, the club's most exclusive room. The lights were flickering, reflecting off a table full of overpriced liquor. My husband, the man featured in financial magazines as a suave gentleman and a devoted wife-lover, the CEO of a billion-dollar unicorn startup, was currently sprawled across a leather sofa. A thick layer of white cream was smeared across his face, from his forehead to the bridge of his nose, and sitting on his lap was his precious childhood friend, Mo Qianqian. She was wearing a fire-red slip dress that barely covered her thighs, coiled around him like a snake. She laughed so hard her whole body shook, her voice piercing even through the phone speakers. Shunji, is the cream sweet? In the video, Chi Shunji didn't push her away. Instead, he let out a low chuckle, his voice dripping with a flippancy I had never heard before. Isn't that for you to find out? Mo Qianqian took that as a green light. She reached out with a slender finger, hooked a dollop of cream from the corner of his mouth, and then amidst the cheers of the crowd she leaned in. Her tongue slowly and meticulously grazed his skin. The circle of sycophants surrounding them started whistling. Someone shouted, "Damn, Mr. Chi, looks like Miss Mo has been practicing that technique for a long time." Chi Shunji tilted his head back and closed his eyes. That look of pure intoxication on his face made me want to vomit. I blanked my expression, turned off the phone, grabbed my car keys and headed out. As I passed the 24-hour bakery on the corner, I pushed the door open. "Welcome, what can I get for you today?" the clerk asked with a bright smile. I pointed to the largest cake in the display, a 9-inch pure cream cake. My voice was flat. "That one, don't worry about the packaging, just box it up fast." "Of course. Would you like a message on it?" I let out a cold laugh. "Sure, for words. Rest in hell." The clerk's hand trembled. He looked at me in horror and couldn't bring himself to write it. "Forget it, I don't need the writing, it's just for throwing anyway." I scanned the QR code to pay, grabbed the heavy cake box and strode out. The late-night streets were eerily empty. I floored the accelerator, my silver sedan cutting through the darkness like a blade toward Ambience. 10 minutes later, I was standing at the club entrance. "Please show your membership card or provide a suite number," the security guard said, blocking my path. I didn't even blink. I shoved the cake box into his chest and flashed a gold VIP card. "Imperial Suite, get out of my way." The guard's face paled the moment he saw the card. He bowed immediately. Mrs. Chi, right this way." I ignored his cold sweat, took back the cake and marched inside. My 4-inch heels clicked against the floor, each step feeling like I was treading on Chi Shunji's spine. I stopped outside the suite. The smooth sound of a saxophone drifted out, accompanied by Mo Qianqian's coy giggles. "Shunji, are you really taking Yi Junjun to the financing meeting tomorrow? She's such a workaholic. She has zero charm, Mr. Zhao definitely won't like that rigid personality of hers. Business is business and she is my wife after all." Chi Shunji replied lazily, his voice laced with an arrogant edge. "Without her charging the front lines, I wouldn't be able to strategize from the back so comfortably. Don't worry, once the company goes public I'll give her a payout and send her back to her hometown to retire. Then the title of Mrs. Chi will be, really, Mo." Qianqian squealed in delight. "You better not be lying." I snorted, lifted my leg and put every ounce of my strength into a kick against the heavy wooden door. Bang! The door slammed against the wall and bounced back. Everyone inside jumped. The music cut out instantly, and several people nearly dropped their drinks. Qi Shunji bolted upright, Mo Tiantian still clinging to him. When he saw me, a flash of panic crossed his eyes, but it was quickly replaced by a wave of pure rage. Yi Zhenzhen, what the hell is wrong with you? He stood up, brushing the foundation Mo Tiantian had rubbed onto his pants. His tone was ice cold. Who gave you permission to barge in without knocking? Do you have any idea who is in this room right now? I didn't say a word. I carried the cake box toward them, step by step. Mo Tiantian cowered into the corner of the sofa, her eyes darting around, though she made a show of tidying her messy hair. Sister Yi, don't get the wrong idea, we're just old friends hanging out playing a joke. A joke? I stopped in front of them, staring at Qi Shunji's face, which still had traces of cream on it. Was it delicious? Qi Shunji frowned, instinctively reaching up to wipe his face, but his voice remained defiant. Everyone was just having fun. Can you stop acting like a corpse for once? If you have time to make a scene here, go home and fix the financing proposal for tomorrow. Mr. Zhao's standards are high. If you screw this up, and if I do, I cut him off, a cruel smile touching my lips. Qi Shunji, do you really think I was born to work like a slave for you for the rest of my life? You must be off your meds today. Qi Shunji waved his hand dismissively. Enough, get out of here, don't embarrass yourself, can't you see all these people watching? The men around them began to whisper. So this is Mr. Qi Zion lady, she's good looking, but damn, what a temper. TSK, no wonder Qi likes someone gentle like Tiantian, who could handle a goddess of war at home. Hearing this, a glimmer of triumph flashed in Mo Tiantian's eyes. She grew bold enough to walk over and try to grab my arm. Sister Yi, Shunji is under a lot of pressure, we were just helping him unwind. You want to unwind too? I shot her a sideways glance. Before she could react, I snapped the buckles on the cake box. I'll help you unwind plenty. I gripped the cake tray with both hands and, with all the strength I could muster, slammed it directly into Qi Shunji's arrogant, impatient face. Splat, the 9-inch cream cake plastered itself perfectly onto Qi Shunji's head. White cream, chocolate shavings, and bright red strawberry jam began to ooze down his hair, eyebrows and nose. His $50,000 custom suit was instantly transformed into a giant rag. The room went dead silent, a graveyard silence. The only sound was the faint drip of cream falling from his chin onto the floor. Mo Tiantian finally snapped, letting out a glass-shattering scream. Shunji. Qi Shunji froze, the cream had glued his eyes shut. He reached up with trembling hands to wipe the filth away, but only succeeded in making a bigger mess. Yi Zhenzhen. He ground the words out through his teeth, each syllable dripping with murderous intent. Have you lost your mind? You dared to hit me. I hit exactly what I was aiming at. I looked at him coldly, then reached out and grabbed Mo Tiantian by the hair. Oh, it hurts. Yi Zhenzhen, let go of me. Mo Tiantian struggled wildly, her long nails scratching several bloody lines into the back of my hand. I didn't budge. With a violent yank, I threw her onto Qi Shunji's cream-covered chest. You like licking so much, don't you? I pressed her head down, shoving her face into the mound of cream on his shoulder. Go on, lick it, you looked so enthusiastic in the video. Help Shunji, help me. Mo Tiantian whimpered, her voice muffled by the frosting. The people around finally snapped out of it and tried to intervene. President Yi, let's not be hasty, let's talk this out. I whipped my head around, my gaze sweeping over them like twin blades of ice. If anyone takes one step closer, I will make sure every single one of your top executives resigns by tomorrow morning. If you don't believe me, try me. You know exactly what I'm capable of in the headhunting world. The men froze, their feet hovering mid-air. Everyone knew that Yi Zhenzhen's network of high-level talent was the lifeblood of the capital circle. Qi Shunji finally managed to clear his eyes. He was shaking with fury, pointing a finger at my nose. Yi Zhenzhen, you're a total banshee. I'm divorcing you. I'm going to make sure you leave with nothing. You think you're anything without the Qi family name. Without the Qi family, I'm still Yi Zhenzhen. But without my financing proposal, Qi Shunji, your tech company will go bankrupt tomorrow when the capital chain breaks. I let go of Mo Tiantian's hair and wiped my hands on the tablecloth with disgust. Mo Tiantian collapsed to the floor, her face a mess of cream and tears, her perfect makeup completely ruined. And you? I looked down at her. Miss Mo, your father's failing export business is still counting on Qi Shunji's investment, isn't it? Tell me, if I send that artistic cream-licking video to your father's biggest creditors, What do you think they'll do? Mo Tiantian's face went ghost white. She stopped crying instantly. Qi Shenji looked like a rooster being strangled. His voice died in his throat. He stared at me, and for the first time the anger in his eyes was eclipsed by a flicker of fear. You recorded it. I didn't. You're good. Friends did. I glanced mockingly at the table of trust fund babies who were now looking at the floor. Qi Shenji, you only care about profit, never character. Did you really think you had real friends? I picked up the empty cake box and stood tall. Qi Shenji, this is just the beginning. Everything you owe me, I'm taking back, every single cent. Just as I turned to leave, a venomous laugh came from Mo Tiantian behind me. Yi Zhenzhen, don't get ahead of yourself. You think those financial loopholes are your trump card? I bet you have no idea what your best friend Lin Xiao actually gave us. My footsteps faltered. I turned back. Mo Tiantian was wiping the cream from her face. Her eyes filled with a disturbing, manic glint. Qi Shenji looked stunned for a moment, then a realization seemed to dawn on him. A slow, twisted grin spread across his face. Yi Zhenzhen, it seems you were a little too confident. 10 o'clock tomorrow morning, I'll be at the office waiting for your gift, and by the way, I'll have a little surprise for you too. I tightened my grip on the box handle, gave him one last icy look, and slammed the door behind me. Back in my car, I immediately dialed Lin Xiao's number. The user you have dialed is currently unavailable. An ominous feeling crawled up my spine like a snake. Lin Xiao, the woman who started this business with me, who knew all my secrets, could she? I slammed on the gas. In the rearview mirror, the neon lights of the club faded away, while the darkness ahead seemed to grow thicker. 200 Chi Villa. I pushed open the door. The main lights were off. Only the dying embers in the fireplace cast a flickering glow. Qi Shenji was already back. He had changed into a dry silk robe and was swirling a glass of whiskey over ice, sitting with his back to me on the leather sofa. The air still held a faint, sickeningly sweet scent of cream mixed with the smell of expensive tobacco. I didn't take off my shoes. I walked straight across the carpet and tossed my bag onto the coffee table. Decided to come home, have you? Qi Shenji didn't turn around. His voice was a low rasp. My name is on the deed to this house. I'm coming back to my own property. Decided has nothing to do with it. I pulled out a chair opposite him and lit a cigarette. Qi Shenji whipped his head around. The moonlight hit his face, half in shadow, half contorted in rage. There was a red welt on his forehead from where the cake box had struck him. Yi Zhenzhen, you humiliated me at Ambience tonight. He slammed his glass onto the table, the clinking of ice against glass echoing in the dead silent room. Mr. Zhao was there, Mr. Wang was there. That cake didn't just hit me, it hit the company's credibility. Do you have any idea how important tomorrow's meeting is to me? That's your credibility, not mine. I blew a smoke ring, looking at him through the white haze. Qi Shenji, did you forget? Your company is where it is today because I used every one of my headhunting connections to find your CTO and build your founding team. Now you want to kick the ladder away and expect me to play nice while you keep a mistress. Tiantian is not a mistress, she's a partner, a benefactor. Qi Shenji roared, lunging forward with his hands on the table to loom over me. The Mo family controls the overseas channels that Mr. Zhao values most. I took her out for business. That slap, no, that cake, nearly gave old man Mo a heart attack. He just called me. If you don't personally apologize to Tiantian tomorrow, that $200 million bridge loan is gone. I laughed so hard tears nearly pricked my eyes. 2 billion. Qi Shenji, do you think your dignity is worth 2 billion, or do you think mine is? This isn't about dignity, it's about the bigger picture. Qi Shenji walked around the table to stand before me, his tone suddenly softened, adopting a nauseating, coaxing quality. Zhenzhen, we're a couple, we're a team. Once the company goes public, you'll be the wife of a man worth billions. It's just an apology, it's not like it'll kill you. Tiantian is just a girl at heart. She likes to play. As the legal wife, can't you be the bigger person? Just let this slide, okay? The bigger person. I stubbed out my cigarette, stood up and looked him straight in the eye. Sure, how exactly do you want me to be the bigger person? A flash of joy crossed Qi Shenji's eyes. He thought I was being swayed again by his for the good of the company excuse, just like I always was. Tomorrow morning at the financing press conference, dress up nicely after the meeting in front of President Zhao. An old man Mo offered Tiantian a toast. Just say you had too much to drink tonight and it was all a misunderstanding. As long as old man Mo's anger cools down and the contract is signed, I'll buy you that French manor you've been eyeing immediately. How about it? I didn't say a word, I just stared at him. This was the man I had been married to for 3 years. He didn't even care if I'd been wronged. All he cared about was whether that 2 billion would hit the account. Qi Shunji, you mentioned earlier, what did Lin Xiao give you? I suddenly shifted the topic. Qi Shunji's expression stiffened for a second before a sinister smile crept onto his face. He pulled a USB drive from his robe pocket and toyed with it in his hand. Zhenzhen, you're a brilliant headhunter. But you forgot that even the strongest allies have a price. Lin Xiao has followed you for years, always stuck in your shadow. She wanted to climb too. Inside this drive are the email logs of you privately contacting competitors and trying to poach the core team from the Qi group over the last few years. Right. My pupils contracted instantly. That was my whole card. I had indeed been laying the groundwork for the past 6 months because I'd long since realized Qi Shunji was siphoning off assets. I had to leave myself a back way out. Those emails were preliminary inquiries with several top investment banks. Lin Xiao had actually betrayed me. With this, Yi Zhenzhen, if you don't cooperate tomorrow, I can not only make sure you leave with nothing but also utterly ruin your reputation in the headhunting world. Poaching a client's staff in private is the ultimate industry taboo, isn't it? Qi Shunji reached out, trying to touch my face. Be good, listen to me. Go apologize to Qianqian tomorrow, we'll still be the model couple. I slapped his hand away, my gaze as cold as ice. Fine, I'll go. Qi Shunji breathed a sigh of relief, a satisfied smile appearing on his face. That's the spirit, a wise person submits to fate. Get some sleep. Don't wear too much makeup tomorrow, Qianqian doesn't like anything too flashy. He turned and headed upstairs, his step light, as if he could already see the 2 billion waving at him. I stood in the pitch-black living room, watching his silhouette disappear around the corner of the stairs. Lin Xiao, is this really your choice? I whispered to myself. I picked up my phone and opened WeChat. Lin Xiao's profile picture was still grayed out. I scrolled through her moments. She had posted 30 minutes ago. You only get one life to live for yourself. Goodbye, old times. The location was tagged at the airport. I let out a self-deprecating laugh, then opened my contacts and found a long-buried number listed as Eagle. The phone rang 3 times before it was picked up. Hello. The voice on the other end was raspy, carrying the suppressed weight of someone who spent their life in the shadows. I need you to look into 2 things for me. I walked out onto the terrace. The cold wind whipped my hair into a mess. But I had never been clearer-headed. First, find out where Lin Xiao's flight is headed. Second, find out exactly where that 2 billion in bridge financing for Mo Qianqian's father, Mo Dahai, is coming from. Miss Yi, checking into an old fox like Mo Dahai won't be cheap. Money is no object. I looked out at the distant, flickering lights of the city. I also need you to prepare something. Deliver it to the Qi Group's press conference at 10 tomorrow morning. I want to give Qi Shunji a $2 billion gift. Understood. I hung up and walked into the study. Opening the computer Qi Shunji thought I never touched. He thought that USB drive from Lin Xiao was my Achilles heel. He was wrong. Lin Xiao did have my email logs. But what she didn't know was that all my important files had a dual encryption system. What she took was merely the bait I had intentionally left for her to find. I typed in a string of commands and a hidden folder popped up on the screen. Inside lay dozens of transfer records, offshore account information, and high-definition videos of Qi Shunji and Mo Qianqian in hotels, far more spectacular than the clip Lin Xiao had sent me. Qi Shunji, since you want me to be the bigger person, I'll show you exactly what that looks like. I'll be so big it leaves you bankrupt. I sat in that chair until the first light of dawn broke across the sky. At 8 in the morning, Qi Shunji pushed the door open. Seeing me still in last night's clothes, he frowned. Why haven't you changed yet? Go take a shower and wash off that smell of smoke. Old man Mo hates the smell of cigarettes. I stood up, stretched my stiff neck and gave him a faint smile. Don't worry, I'll make sure they're satisfied. After showering, I put on a sharp professional makeup look and donned a crisp white tailored suit. The woman in the mirror had a piercing gaze. There wasn't a trace of a submissive wife left in her. Before we left, Qi Shunji adjusted my collar. That's it, Zhenzhen, after today we'll be the new elite of the capital world. When that time comes, I'll let you play however you want. I smiled and patted his hand. Good, I hope you don't regret it when the time comes. The car came to a steady halt in front of the Chi Group building, a banner hung across the entrance. Chi Group Technology Series B financing signing ceremony and IPO launch event. The media's cameras and microphones were already staged. Mo Tiantian was wearing a pink socialite dress today, clinging to the arm of a portly, flesher-faced old man standing in the center of the hall. That man was Mo Dahai. Seeing Qi Shunji and me walk in, Mo Tiantian tilted her chin up provocatively, her eyes full of the arrogance of a victor. Qi Shunji leaned in and whispered in my ear, "Go on, put on a good show." I clutched my bag and walked toward Mo Tiantian under the gaze of the crowd. Mo Dahai gave a cold snort and spoke with an affected air. "President Qi, is this your high-tempered wife? If I don't get an explanation today, I won't be signing that paper." Qi Shunji smiled apologetically. "Don't worry, President Mo Zhenjin is here specifically to apologize." Mo Tiantian folded her arms across her chest and said coyingly, "Sister Yi, that cake tasted pretty good last night. I just wonder if you'll be able to handle the taste of this wine today." She picked up a glass of dark liquor from a passing waiter's tray with a slight loosening of her fingers. The glass wobbled. She was actually making a move to pour it over my feet. The camera flashes strobed frantically. Everyone was waiting to see how the legal wife, would bow and scrape to the mistress. I looked at the wine and suddenly gave a light chuckle, reaching out to catch the glass firmly. "Miss Mo, a toast like this is something I should be doing." Holding the wine glass, I scanned the room of reporters. My voice was clear and resonant. "To all our friends in the media here today, this isn't just the signing ceremony for the Qi Group's financing. I'd like to take this opportunity to announce some even more explosive news on behalf of President Qi." Qi Shunji's face paled instantly. He grabbed me. "Zhenjin, what nonsense are you talking about? Apologize now." I threw off his hand and stared into Mo Dahai's muddy eyes, enunciating every word. "President Mo, do your creditors know you're investing $2 billion into the Qi Group, for instance? Those brothers in Southeast Asia who are currently looking for you to settle your debts?" Mo Dahai's face went from flushed to ghost white in a heartbeat. The room erupted. Qi Shunji froze, looking at me as if I were a madwoman. "Yi Zhenjin, shut up." I ignored him and turned toward the entrance of the hall. The man I knew as Eagle, dressed in an express courier uniform, walked in carrying a massive package. "President Qi, your gift has arrived. Please sign for it." The package Eagle handed over was large, wrapped in black plastic film that looked completely out of place under the luxurious crystal chandeliers. Qi Shunji's hand hung frozen in mid-air. He couldn't sign, yet he couldn't not sign. The reporters' flashes strobed incessantly. The journalists who had come to cover a strategic alliance had keenly sniffed out the scent of scandal and conspiracy. "Sign it, President Qi." I smiled and shoved the pen into his hand, my fingertips sliding coldly across his palm. "Isn't this the bigger picture you've been dreaming of?" Gritting his teeth, Qi Shunji scribbled a mess onto the form. Eagle set the package down expressionlessly and vanished into the crowd. "Sister Yi, who are you trying to scare with this little act?" Mo Tiantian regained her composure, clutching Mo Dahai's arm with her chin held high. "My father's $2 billion is cold, hard cash already transferred to the escrow account. I can sue you for defamation for the crazy things you just said." Mo Dahai also snapped out of it. He was an old hand at this, after all, and the paleness on his face was quickly masked by a layer of indignation. "President Qi, is this how you manage your household? If your wife doesn't kneel and apologize to Tiantian in public today, I am withdrawing that $2 billion immediately." Withdrawing? I took a step closer, staring into Mo Dahai's clouded eyes. "President Mo, is that $2 billion really your money, or is it the dirty labor funds you embezzled from the Shenghe Group in Southeast Asia that haven't been laundered yet?" The corner of Mo Dahai's eye twitched violently. The crowd gasped. Money laundering, embezzlement, Southeast Asia. Everyone in the financial world knew exactly what those words meant. "Yi Zhenjin, shut your mouth." Qi Shunji reached his limit and shoved me hard. I stumbled but caught my balance, the sneer on my face deepening. Just then a familiar voice suddenly drifted down from the second-floor gallery. "She's right, that $2 billion definitely can't see the light of day." I looked up sharply. Lin Xiao stood there in a sharp black trench coat, holding a tablet, looking down at us from the gallery. Shouldn't she have been on her way to the airport? Qi Shunji's face went ghost white. "Lin Xiao, didn't you take the money and leave?" Lin Xiao let out a cold snort as she walked down the escalator. Qi Shunji, that little hush money you gave me wasn't even enough for a down payment on my conscience. You wanted me to set Junjun up with fake emails, but unfortunately for you, you underestimated our years of friendship. I looked at Lin Xiao and the chill in my heart vanished instantly. It turned out that everything last night had been a play within a play that we had both understood without saying a word. Lin Xiao, you're crazy, this is a breach of contract. Mo Qianqian shrieked. Breach of contract? I never signed anything with the Qi Group. Lin Xiao walked to my side and connected her tablet to the massive LED screen in the hall. The screen flickered and instead of a PowerPoint, a complex capital flowchart appeared. It ended at an account in the Cayman Islands and the holder's name was clear, Mo Qianqian. Miss Mo, your father really went all out to make sure you married into the Qi family with style. This money was stolen from the Shenghe Group behind their backs. At 9 this morning, Shenghe's legal team reported it to Interpol. Lin Xiao's voice boomed through the speakers. Mo Dahai's body swayed, and he collapsed onto a sofa. No, impossible, how did they find out? Suddenly, several men in deep blue uniforms burst through the entrance, flashing their IDs. Mr. Mo Dahai, you are a suspect in a transnational financial fraud case. Please come with us. Mo Qianqian let go of his arm in terror, jumping back as if he were a leper. As Mo Dahai was led away, he was still screaming, Qi Shunji, you set me up, you animal. The media went into a frenzy. President Qi, were you aware of the Mo family's fraud? President Yi, did you have this evidence all along? With this financing failing, is the Qi Group facing immediate bankruptcy? Qi Shunji stood there, the lingering stickiness of the cream still seemingly on his face. He looked like he had fallen into an ice hole, his lips trembling. It's a misunderstanding, it's all a misunderstanding. I straightened my suit, walked to the microphone, and spoke with a terrifying calmness. Everyone, today's signing ceremony is cancelled. Furthermore, as the chief headhunting consultant and a 15% shareholder of Qi Group Technology, I officially announce that I am withdrawing all human resource endorsements for the company. The room exploded. I turned to Qi Shunji and said, one word at a time, Qi Shunji, the contracts for the technical team. You're so proud of are all in my hands. As of now they have resigned. Yi Zhenjin, you wouldn't dare. Qi Shunji's eyes were bloodshot as he lunged at me like a trapped beast. I didn't move because a tall figure stepped in front of me. It was old Chen, the CTO, with the entire core development team behind him. President Qi, here are our resignation letters. Old Chen slapped a stack of papers against Qi Shunji's chest. The boys think it's embarrassing to work for a piece of trash who sells out his wife and uses women to climb the ladder. Qi Shunji looked at those familiar faces and finally slumped to the floor. What was supposed to be his victory celebration had become the funeral of his career. I looked down at him without a shred of pity. Qi Shunji, I've already signed the divorce papers. They're on your office desk. You leave with nothing, the villa, and those nearly worthless, mortgaged-out shares of yours. I'm taking it all. Why, on what grounds? He muttered. On the grounds that you're stupid, I whispered in his ear. On the grounds that you actually thought Lin Xiao would betray me, and that you thought a piece of work like Mo Qianqian could help you reach the top. I turned toward the exit. Mo Qianqian was still shouting behind me. Yi Zhenjin, don't be so smug. Shunji still has dirt on you. Those emails. I didn't even look back. Just raised a hand and waved. Let him leak them. I'd love to see if forged emails can take down a top-tier headhunter. Walking out of the building, the sunlight made me squint. Lin Xiao caught up and handed me the tablet. Zhenjin, the Qi Group won't survive the night with a $2 billion hole in their pocket. I know, that's exactly what I wanted. I got into the car. Is Eagle ready? Ready. All of Qi Group's suppliers have started blocking the doors to demand their money. I nodded. Let's go grab a drink. To a successful conclusion of my funeral. Just as the car started, my phone lit up with a text from an unknown number. Miss Yi, well played, but inside Qi Shunji's USB drive, besides the fake emails, there's actually another secret about your father from 10 years ago. Want to know? I gripped the phone, my knuckles turning white. My father, the man who jumped to his death 10 years ago after being reported for embezzlement. I slammed on the brakes and turned to Lin Xiao. She looked confused. What's wrong? I stared at the words on the screen as a chill crept back up my spine. Was Qi Shunji just another pawn in this game? Lin Xiao, track this number fast. The Wind whistled past the car window. My knuckles were white on the steering wheel. Junjun, what's wrong? You look like you've seen a ghost. Lin Xiao reached over to touch my forehead. I handed her the phone. That text about my father was like a midnight bomb, blowing a hole in the victory I had just built. Lin Xiao gasped after reading it. This is impossible. How old was Qi Shenji back then? How could he be involved in your dad's case? He wasn't big enough back then, but the Qi family behind him built their fortune on the very permits my father handled. I sneered, my eyes locked on the red light ahead. Lin Xiao, did you find it, the number? Lin Xiao worked the tablet rapidly. 30 seconds later, she shook her head. Virtual number, routed through North America, no real name, but if they sent this, they definitely have something. Back to the office, I pulled a sharp U-turn. Where? To the Qi Group. The place is crawling with creditors. You're walking into a death trap. No, to my headhunting studio. I floored the accelerator. Before Qi Shenji completely loses it, I'm turning every card in his hand into scrap paper. Half an hour later, at Junyan Headhunting Studio on the 36th floor, this was my stronghold. The moment I pushed open the office door, Old Chen and several core tech leads were already waiting. President Yi, we've performed a final physical cut on the Qi Group servers. Old Chen handed me a stack of non-compete agreements. As you ordered, access to the core codebase is now exclusively in your hands. Qi Shenji wants to sell the company to pay his debts. He's selling an empty shell. Good work. I sat in my executive chair, my eyes sharp. Old Chen, take the team to the new lab I prepared, double the salary, sign the NDAs. As for Qi Shenji, before I could finish, a loud scuffle broke out outside. Yi Junjun, get your ass out here. Qi Shenji had snapped when he burst in. He still smelled of dried cream, his tie was crooked, and his eyes were bloodshot. The image of an elite CEO was long gone. The security guards couldn't hold him back as he shoved his way through. President Yi, I'm sorry, the security lead said, looking troubled. I waved them away, signaling for everyone to leave. The room was left with just me, Qi Shenji, and Lin Xiao watching through the crack in the door. Something I can help you with. I picked up my coffee and took a slow sip. You venomous woman. Qi Shenji rushed the desk, slamming his hands down. His spit nearly hit my face. You took Old Chen, you took the whole tech department, and you cut my financing. Now the bank is sealing my building and suppliers are threatening to jump off roofs. Do you have to drive me to death to be satisfied? Drive you to death? I set the cup down with a sharp clack. Qi Shenji, when you were letting Mo Chantian lick cream off your face at that party, when you were planning to kick me to the curb the moment the company went public, did you ever consider if I would survive? That was business, it was an act, he screamed hysterically. You think you won, look at this. He yanked the black USB drive from his pocket and slammed it onto the desk. You think this only has those emails, Yi Junjun? Your father didn't kill himself because of embezzlement, he found a list, and the original copy of that list is in my hands. If you don't give me the tech team back and if you don't go beg President Zhao to reinvest, I will destroy this list. Your father will spend eternity as a disgraced criminal. My heart skipped a beat. A list. I stood up, keeping my voice as steady as possible. What list? The list of the people actually responsible for that chemical plant explosion 10 years ago. Qi Shenji grinned maniacally. Your dad was the scapegoat, wasn't he? If I destroy this, you'll never clear his name. I stared into his eyes, trying to tell if this was just another lie. Qi Shenji, do you really think I'd believe a liar? Believe what you want. If you aren't at the notary's office for our remarriage by 3 tomorrow afternoon, I'll burn this drive to ash right in front of you. He roared, then stormed out, knocking over a potted plant by the door. The office fell into a deathly silence. Lin Xiao rushed in, looking worried. Junjun, don't listen to him, he's desperate, he's bluffing. No, the explosion he mentioned, that was real. I walked to the floor-to-ceiling window, looking down at the traffic. Before my dad died, he did mention A-list to me, but I always thought it was just a hallucination in his final moments. I closed my eyes, picturing my father's defeated silhouette before he jumped. Lin Xiao, if you were Qi Shenji, would you keep the only original copy of something that important on a USB drive in your pocket? Definitely not, it's too risky. I'd hide it somewhere no one would think to look, or leave it with a trusted third party. A trusted third party. I opened my eyes and locked onto the list of former Chi Group employees on my desk. I remembered someone, Chi Shinji's old secretary. She had been with him for 5 years but suddenly left 6 months ago for health reasons to return to the countryside. That honest woman hadn't even taken an extra cent in severance. Old Chen, I shouted as I ran out, catching the CTO before he left. I need you to locate someone, Su Hong, the secretary who left 6 months ago. I want all her call logs and bank transfers. On it, President Yi. Time ticked by. 4:00 p.m. Found her. Old Chen tapped away at the keyboard. Su Hong went back to her hometown in western Sichuan. But here's the weird part, she gets a monthly transfer from Chi Shinji's private account. It's not much, just enough to keep her paralyzed mother in the best nursing home in the area. That's not severance, that's hush money or a storage fee. I grabbed my coat. Lin Xiao, book the fastest flight. I need to get that list before Chi Shinji loses his mind tomorrow. But Junjun, Chi Shinji is watching you. If you move, he'll know. Then let him think I'm moving. A ruthless smile touched my lips. Old Chen, send an email to all the major investment banks in my name. Tell them I'm holding a closed-door meeting for the Chi Group bankruptcy restructuring plan tomorrow at 3:00 p.m. I want Chi Shinji's attention pinned to that conference room. A classic diversion, brilliant. 2:00 am. I sat on a private jet bound for Western Sichuan. This wasn't the first time I'd put my life on the line, but this time the stakes were my father's honor. Meanwhile, the Chi Group building was lit up like a Christmas tree. Chi Shinji sat in his empty CEO office, staring at the black USB drive with cold eyes. Junjun, since you like games so much, I'll play with you until the end. Tomorrow afternoon I'm going to make you crawl. He dialed a number. Hey, how's it going? Have you caught that idiot Mo Qianqian yet? A grim voice answered on the other end. Miss Mo has been secured. President Zhao's side is all set. The moment Yi Junjun shows up tomorrow we move. Good, keep it clean. Chi Shinji hung up the phone and looked out at the night sky, letting out a burst of manic laughter. What he didn't know was that at this very moment, nestled in the crevice of his office ceiling, a miniature bug was flashing a faint, rhythmic red light on the plane. I listened to the recording through my headphones and let out a cold snort. So you really do have a backup plan, Chi Shinji, and President Zhao. It seems our big investor friend needs a change of scenery. I opened my tablet and pulled up the black files on Zhao Jianhua, head of Huisheng Capital, from my private headhunting database. As a top-tier headhunter, the one thing I never lacked was everyone's dirty secrets. President Zhao, I hear you've been secretly transferring premarital assets recently. I wonder if your wife, the daughter of the Huisheng chairman, is aware of this. My slender fingers danced across the keyboard. One anonymous email after another, laced with lethal social toxins, flew silently into the corners of the digital world in the dead of night. 4:00 am. The plane touched down at a small airport in western Sichuan. I wrapped my coat tightly around me and stepped onto the unfamiliar soil. Su Hong, I hope what you have is worth the trip. Meanwhile, 2,000 kilometers away, Chi Shinji was staring at a surveillance feed. Seeing the car under my name stop punctually at a beauty salon, he broke into a satisfied smile. He thought I was getting a facial for tomorrow's apology, never realizing that the person in that car was merely a body double arranged by Lin Xiao. Precision bomb disposal. Step 1. Cut all the sensor wires. I took a deep breath and dialed Su Hong's number. Hello, Secretary Su, it's Yi Junjun. I'm here for the items Chi Shinji left with you. There was a long silence on the other end before a trembling voice replied. President Yi, you finally came. The dawn in western Sichuan was bone-chilling and damp. When I pushed open the rusty iron gate of Su Hong's home, the hinges let out a piercing screech. Su Hong, wrapped in a heavy cotton robe, huddled behind the door. Her eyes were wary and terrified like a startled quail. President Yi, why did you come yourself? Her voice shook. Hand over what Chi Shinji told you to guard. I didn't enter. I stood in the drafty corridor, my tone calm but carrying an undeniable weight. He's fallen. The Mo family is finished. If you keep holding on to this, you'll only end up buried alongside him. Su Hong bit her lip, her eyes brimming with tears. Mr. Chi said, as long as I don't hand it over, he'll pay for my mother's medical bills every month. She's paralyzed. She can't go without her medicine. I pulled a signed employment contract from my bag and held it out. This is an administrative director contract for my new company. The salary is triple what you make now. I will have your mother move to the best sanitarium in Chengdu, Su-hong. You should know by now. A promise from Yi Zhenjin is worth infinitely more than one from a man on the brink of bankruptcy. Su-hong stared at the contract, her hand shaking violently. Finally, she stepped aside and let me in. She reached into a gap in the bricks behind the stove and pulled out a manila envelope wrapped tightly in oilcloth. Mr. Chi gave this to me 6 months ago. He said it was his life, that I had to protect it even if it cost me mine. I tore open the oilcloth. Inside was a stack of yellowed documents. The cover read in bold letters, 2016 Pinghai Chemical Plant Accident Internal Loss Assessment and Liability Allocation Chart. I flipped to the first page, my palms sweating amidst the dense list of signatures in the approver column. Above the minor scapegoats who had already gone to prison was the name Zhao Jianhua, the president of Huashen Capital. So, the leverage Qi Shunji had been using against President Zhao wasn't some business deal. It was evidence of a fatal crime that could put Zhao in prison for the rest of his life. And my father, the chief engineer back then, was framed with the double crime of operational negligence, causing an explosion and embezzlement simply because he refused to sign this forged document. So, this is the truth. My fingertips trembled, my heart feeling as if a massive hole had been torn through it. The night my father jumped, the rain was torrential. He had stood on that roof, looking back at me with eyes full of despair and guilt. He wasn't ashamed of embezzling. He was despairing because he couldn't protect the truth. President Yi, please take it and go, Su-hong urged through tears. Mr. Cheeseman, they come around every few days to check. I tucked the documents away, but just as I reached the door, my phone vibrated frantically. It was Lin Xiao, her voice sounding breathless with urgency. Zhenjin, we have a problem. Mo Qianqian escaped. Escaped? Wasn't she in custody? I hurried toward the car at the end of the alley. Mo Dahai took the fall for everything, claiming she knew nothing. The Mo family still has loyalists who bailed her out. She's at your studio right now with a private photo of you and a pregnancy report. She's making a massive scene in front of a pack of reporters. I let out a cold laugh as I started the engine. A private photo? I've barely taken swimsuit photos in my life. Where would she get a private photo? It's a deep fake. But at a time like this, even if it's fake, as long as it has your name on it, your reputation is toast. She's also claiming that she's pregnant with Qi Shunji's child and that you, the wicked legal wife, framed the Mo family just to steal the estate. If she wants to play big, I'll give her a show. I slammed on the gas, speeding down the narrow country road. Lin Xiao, tell security not to stop her. Let her rant and call those entertainment editors I'm friendly with. I want to make sure this debt is paid back with interest. 3 hours later at Chengdu Airport, I chartered a small private jet and flew straight back on the plane. I opened the live stream link Lin Xiao sent me. Outside the Zhenyan headhunting studio, Mo Qianqian stood with disheveled hair, wearing a white maternity dress. Though she wasn't showing, she was holding up several blurry, explicit photos that would ruin any high society woman, wailing for the cameras. Yi Zhenjin, you cold-blooded viper, to keep the Qi fortune for yourself. You destroyed my family and now you want to kill the child in my womb. Mo Qianqian cried theatrically. You're the one sleeping around with various CEOs. These photos are proof. What right do you have to judge the true love between me and Shunji? The reporters swarmed her with flashes strobing. Miss Mo, is the source of these photos reliable? Miss Mo, you say you're pregnant. Do you have hospital records? Mo Qianqian whipped out a diagnosis report. Look, the stamp from the military hospital. I'm carrying the only heir to the Qi family. Yi Zhenjin is just jealous she's barren, so she wants to destroy all of us. I turned off the screen and sneered at the clouds outside the window. Qi Shunji's move was pathetic. He thought using a madwoman like Mo Qianqian for a public opinion siege would make me back down out of fear for my reputation. He forgot that the one thing I fear least is my reputation. 1:00 p.m. I appeared at the entrance of the studio. Someone in the crowd yelled, Yi Zhenjin is back. The reporters swarmed me like frantic flies. The moment Mo Qianqian saw me, a venomous glint appeared in her eyes. She lunged forward, pretending to crash into me. Yi Zhenjin, give me back my father, give me back my child. I stepped aside with the grace of a tango dancer. Mo Tiantian hit nothing but air, nearly tumbling down the stairs before being caught by a few quick-thinking reporters. "Careful, Miss Mo." I brushed non-existent dust off my suit, my expression as cold as if I were looking at a clown. "If you're pregnant, stay in bed, jumping around on the street. If that carefully prepared belly starts bleeding, it'll be hard to clean up the act." "What do you mean by that?" Mo Tiantian froze, then wailed even louder. "Did you hear that? She's cursing my baby." I ignored her and turned to the circle of reporters, raising my voice. "Everyone, since Miss Mo brought up photos and babies, let me give you some real material so your stories aren't so one-dimensional." I pulled a stack of photos from my bag, not the ones from Su Hong, but something else entirely. They were records of Mo Tiantian's frequent clubbing over the last 6 months, alongside her full medical records for an abortion she had just 1 month ago. First, Miss Mo's so-called pregnancy ended a month ago. As for this diagnosis report, I snatched the paper from her hand and tore it up. This was a discarded draft from a printing house owned by the Chi Group. "The stamp is a double image, Miss Mo. If you're going to forge something, be professional about it." Mo Tiantian's face turned a bruised shade of purple. She shrieked, "You're lying, you bribed the hospital." Second, I cut her off coldly, holding up another set of photos. "Regarding my private photos, since Miss Mo enjoys deepfakes, I had a professional team restore them. As you can see, the originals are actually selfies Miss Mo posted on her own social media. My face was simply cropped onto them, quite crudely I might add." I tossed the comparison shots in front of the reporters. The crowd gasped. "Miss Mo, between defamation and forging government documents, you'll have plenty of time to spend with your father in prison." "Yi Zhenjin, I'll kill you." Mo Tiantian flew at me, claws out. I caught her with a backhanded slap that sent her sprawling to the ground. "That," I said, "is for the 3 years of nausea you caused me." I walked over, knelt down, and whispered in her ear, "Qi Shenji can't save you. He's currently fighting for his own life in front of President Zhao. You thought you were a trump card. You're just a piece of trash he threw out to buy time." Mo Tiantian's eyes widened, finally filled with absolute bone-deep terror. I stood up and signaled to Lin Xiao, "Take her to the station, and tell President Zhao that his old friend Su Hong is already having tea in my new office." Mo Tiantian was dragged away by security like a dead dog. I looked at the reporters, straightened my collar and gave the camera a perfect professional smile. "Everyone, the closed-door meeting at Chi Group is at 3:00 p.m. today. You're all welcome to witness President Qi's final dance." Back in the office, Lin Xiao was buzzing. "Zhenjin, you're a literal war god. But about President Zhao's old friend Su Hong, will he really turn on Qi just for her?" "It's not for Su Hong." I looked at the yellowed list on my desk. "It's for his own head. As long as this list is in my hands, President Zhao is my most loyal dog." I sat down and dialed Zhao's private number. "President Zhao, I'd like you to chair the 3:00 p.m. meeting. After all, the descendant of a murderer like Qi Shenji doesn't belong on the podium. Wouldn't you agree?" There was a silence for a full minute before Zhao's old, raspy voice came through. "President Yi, it's a pleasure doing business with you." Hanging up the phone, I gazed out at the blue sky and let out a long, slow breath. "Dad," I whispered, "the first domino has finally fallen." At 2:50 p.m. on the top floor of the Huashen Capital headquarters, the air in the conference room felt as heavy as lead. Even the draft from the central AC felt cold and lethal. Qi Shenji sat at the head of the long table. His usually impeccable hair was a bit disheveled, but he struggled to maintain his presidential facade. He sat with his hands folded, his eyes dark and brooding as he glared at the door. "Is Yi Zhenjin not here yet?" he hissed to the assistant beside him. The assistant wiped away sweat, his voice trembling. "Mr. Qi, Ms. Yi's car just entered the underground garage, but she's not alone. It looks like some top-tier headhunters are with her, along with several of our former executives." Qi Shenji slammed his hand on the table and stood up. "What are they doing here if they've resigned? Tell them to get out. This is a private internal meeting for the Qi Corporation. I'm afraid this isn't just your internal business anymore." I pushed open the heavy solid wood doors. The click of my high heels on the floor created a sharp, cold rhythm. Behind me stood Lin Xiao, followed by a row of stony-faced men in sharp suits. These were faces Qi Shenji knew all too well. There was old Zhong, the CFO of Chi Tech, Great Liu, the head of legal, and AK, the VP of marketing. They were once Qi Shunji's most trusted lieutenants, the founding fathers who helped him build his empire. Old Zhong Liu, what are you doing here? Qi Shunji froze, then let out a derisive, absurd laugh. Oh, I see, are you here to help? Yi Zhenjin put on a show, don't forget. You all signed non-compete agreements. If you dare work for a competitor within a year of leaving, I'll sue you into poverty. Old Zhong adjusted his glasses and pulled a document from his briefcase, smoothing it out on the table. Mr. Qi, instead of worrying about our non-competes, you should start worrying about your own criminal liability. What did you say? These are the complete records of the past 3 years of your transactions through the Mo family's trading company, fictitious trades, money laundering and tax evasion. Old Zhong's voice was flat, like a precision auditing machine. As the CFO, I kept all the original vouchers and your signatures. Ms. Yi helped me apply for the Police Witness Protection Program. I've already turned myself in. Qi Shunji's face went from pale to a deathly gray. Old Zhong, you're insane. I gave you so much in bonuses. That money isn't enough to buy back my conscience for the rest of my life. Old Zhong took a step back and stood firmly behind me. Next, Liu stepped forward and tossed a lawyer's letter onto the table. Mr. Qi, this is a formal accusation regarding your illegal fundraising and investment fraud. Su Hong has already handed over that list to Ms. Yi. I also had the evidence of you forging my father's signature back then verified by a handwriting expert. I'm a legal professional. I know exactly how to put you behind bars. You bunch of ungrateful curs. Qi Shunji was shaking with rage, pointing a finger at me. Yi Zhenjin, it was you bought them off. How much did you pay them? I didn't pay them anything. I walked up to him, leaning my hands on the table and looking down at him. I just gave them a chance to be decent human beings. Qi Shunji, a man like you, who treats his brothers like cannon fodder and his wife like a stepping stone, isn't qualified to talk about loyalty. Just then the side door opened and Mr. Zhao of Huashan Capital walked in, surrounded by a crowd. Qi Shunji acted as if he'd seen a literal lifeline. He rushed over and grabbed Mr. Zhao's arm. Mr. Zhao, look, Yi Zhenjin has lost it. She's teamed up with these traitors to destroy me. You still have 200 million in capital, right? If you invest now, I can turn this around. All that evidence is fake. I can explain. Mr. Zhao shook him off with a look of disgust. He took a wet wipe from his assistant and meticulously cleaned the spot where Qi Shunji had touched him. Mr. Qi, have some dignity, Mr. Zhao said, his voice old and cold. I didn't come here to invest, I came to divest. Furthermore, on behalf of Huashan Capital, I am filing a lawsuit against you personally to hold you accountable for the losses caused by your fraudulent fundraising. Qi Shunji collapsed into his chair, his lips trembling. Mr. Zhao, you can't do this. We're in the same boat. What happened back then? Ms. Yi and I have already had a deep discussion about what happened back then. Mr. Zhao turned and gave me a long look, his eyes full of wary respect. Ms. Yi has what I want most, while you only have the baggage that would drag me down to hell with you. Qi Shunji, who do you think I'm going to choose? Qi Shunji turned to me, his eyes filled with despair and disbelief. Yi Zhenjin, you actually got that old fox Zhao Jianhua to flip. What did you give him? I gave him a chance at a fresh start. I pulled a black USB drive from my pocket and toyed with it. The original list is in my hands now. Mr. Zhao has agreed to fully cooperate with the police to investigate the truth behind the Pinghai chemical plant explosion and testify against the mastermind. In exchange, I will explain his subordinate role to the court. The mastermind, Qi Shunji muttered. No, the mastermind was my father and his dead men don't talk. Dead men don't talk, but their illegitimate sons do. I leaned in close to his ear and lowered my voice. Qi Shunji, did you really think you were the only heir to the Qi family? The son your father raised in Southeast Asia has been eyeing your share of the pie for years. The USB drive you had was actually sold to me by him 6 months ago. He wants the Qi family fortune. I just want your life. Qi Shunji looked like he'd been struck by lightning. He slumped over, looking like an empty shell of a man. I've cut off your left and right hands. I stood up and scanned the room. As of now, Chi Tech is entering bankruptcy liquidation. The future employment of all executives will be handled exclusively by the Zhenyan headhunting studio. Everyone, this meeting is adjourned. The Executives filed out in an orderly fashion. Not a single person spared Qi Shunji a glance of pity as they passed. Finally, it was just the two of us. He suddenly burst into a fit of hysterical laughter until tears streamed down his face. Ha ha ha, Yi Zhenjin, you won beautifully. But do you really think you can reopen the case just because you have that list? That explosion involves people in high places. Do you really dare move against them? If you do, you're a dead woman. I'm not afraid of dying, but I am afraid of my father being unable to rest in peace. I walked to the door, my hand on the handle. Qi Shunji, weren't you always asking me who that mystery number belonged to? I pulled out my phone and dialed the number. The phone in Qi Shunji's pocket suddenly began to vibrate. He froze. With trembling hands he pulled it out. The screen clearly showed an incoming call from me. What? How? The person sending those texts was me. I turned back and gave him a victor's smile. To drive you mad, to make you lose your cool so you'd go fetch that list. I had to create a rival for you. I simply pretended to be the person you fear most, Qi Shunji. What you fear most is actually your own greed and terror. I pulled the door open. Several uniformed police officers were standing outside. Mr. Qi Shunji, you are under suspicion of illegal fundraising, money laundering and obstruction of justice. Please come with us. Seeing the silver handcuffs, Qi Shunji suddenly lunged toward the window as if he intended to jump from the 36th floor, but he didn't get his wish. The security guards and police quickly pinned him to the floor. Yi Zhenjin, you poisonous woman, I curse you to a miserable death. He struggled on the floor, his expensive suit getting scuffed and messy, his face smeared with dust from the carpet. He looked as pathetic as a stray dog in a gutter. I walked up to him in my heels, leaned down and looked at him one last time. Qi Shunji, you're wrong, I'm not a poisonous woman, I'm just a debt collector taking back what belongs to me. I turned and strode down the hallway. Lin Xiao was waiting by the elevator and handed me a bottle of water. Zhenjin, how does it feel? It's not over yet. I took a sip of water and looked at my determined reflection in the elevator mirror. Qi Shunji was just a small player, the big shot Mr. Zhao mentioned. That's the real challenge. So where to next? To the prison. I pressed the elevator button. I'm going to see Mo Dahai since he was willing to take the fall for Mo Qianqian. It means he must have something even more valuable to save his own skin. The elevator doors closed, cutting off the noise and the cursing behind me. Within a week, Qi-Tech's stock price was worth less than scrap paper. Creditors swarmed the building like sharks sensing blood. Meanwhile, I sat in what used to be his CEO office, leisurely reviewing the bankruptcy liquidation progress. Zhenjin, Qi Shunji has been bailed out. Lin Xiao walked in, her expression odd. Zhao Jianhua intervened, saying he was helping him out for old time's sake, but there's no way that old fox would save him for nothing. I closed the folder and sneered. Zhao Jianhua isn't saving him. He's afraid that if Qi stays inside too long, his mouth will get loose. Zhao can only handle him if he's on the outside. Just then my personal phone rang. It was Qi Shunji. When I picked up, his voice was so raspy I barely recognized it. It carried a desperate, gravelly tremble. Zhenjin, it's me. I want to see you at that French restaurant where we had our first date, please. Please, I repeated the word playfully. Mr. Qi, you're penniless. What do you have to plead with? I have the last page that was torn from your father's list. That page has the real name of the big shot. Qi Shunji panted. If you come, I'll give it to you. I don't want anything else. I just want you to let me go, give me a way to live. My eyes sharpened. The list was indeed missing a page, the one recording the bank accounts of the ultimate beneficiaries. Fine, see you in an hour. At the Madeleine, the restaurant on the top floor of a 5-star hotel. This was where we had celebrated our first wedding anniversary. The romantic violin music was the same, but now it sounded like a cold funeral march. Qi Shunji had changed into a faded, old suit and sat awkwardly by the window. When he saw me walk in, he reflexively tried to stand but wobbled because his legs were weak. Zhenjin, you're here. A sycophantic smile touched his pale face. Sit please, I ordered the beef Wellington you like. I sat across from him, not touching the silver, and just stared at him coldly. Where is it? Don't be in such a hurry, let's eat something first and catch up. Qi Shunji's hands shook as he poured wine for me. I was an idiot before. I let that bitch Mo Qianqian blind me. Honestly, I've only ever had you in my heart. You were my best asset. Without you, I'm nothing. He suddenly stood up, rounded the table and dropped to his knees at my feet. Junjun, I was wrong, I was so wrong. He grabbed my knees, sobbing hysterically. I don't want the shares anymore, I don't want the company, please drop the charges. Tell the police those records were forged by old Zhong. As long as I'm safe, I'll work for you like a dog for the rest of my life. Other diners in the restaurant stared, and some even pulled out their phones to record. I looked down at him with nothing but pure disgust. Qi Shunji, you're genuinely nauseating like this. I know you hate me, you should hate me. He began slapping his own face while pulling a stack of crumpled papers from his jacket. Look, this is the last page, I had to sew it into my underwear to keep it safe. Just sign this settlement agreement, and I'll give it to you, then we're even okay. He pushed the agreement toward me. I glanced at it. It stated that I voluntarily waived all criminal prosecution against Qi Shunji and admitted that previous allegations were a misunderstanding. Sign it, and the last page is yours, your father's name will be cleared. There was a near-manic look of anticipation in his eyes. I picked up the pen, the tip hovering over the signature line. Qi Shunji held his breath, staring at the pen. Qi Shunji, do you really think I'm still that stupid woman who can be manipulated by a few soft words? I suddenly retracted the pen, a mocking smirk playing on my lips. What do you mean? The smile froze on his face. First, this agreement cannot legally revoke criminal liability in a public prosecution case. Second, I picked up the so-called last page and tore it into pieces, tossing them in his face. You had someone forge this handwriting yesterday, didn't you? The smell of the ink hasn't even faded yet. Qi Shunji's face instantly turned hideous. He stood up abruptly, his humbleness vanishing. Yi Junjun, I gave you a way out and you spat on it. Do you really think you're walking out of this restaurant today? He snapped his fingers. Several black-clad bodyguards immediately surrounded us. They were Zhao Jianhua's men. Mr. Zhao said if you don't sign, you'll have a little accident here. Qi Shunji grinned wickedly and pulled a recording pen from under the table. Once I have a recording of you threatening me combined with your signature on this agreement, I'll flip the script. A signature. I pulled a private seal from my bag and slammed it onto the signature line right in front of him. There's the signature you wanted. Qi Shunji was stunned. He grabbed the paper. Stamped in bold red ink were 3 characters. Qi Shunji, you forged my private seal. No, this is the authorization seal you personally gave me 3 years ago. Did you forget? I stood up and elegantly smoothed out my skirt. Qi Shunji, your performance just now, kneeling, begging, and admitting to your crimes, has been recorded by every security camera in this restaurant. By the way, I bought this restaurant yesterday. I snapped my fingers, the restaurant doors were kicked open and dozens of reporters with cameras rushed in, their flashes turning the room as bright as day. Mr. Qi, was that kneeling bit a rehearsal? Mr. Qi, is it true you tried to blackmail your ex-wife with forged evidence? Qi Shunji completely snapped. He screamed at the bodyguards, do something, smash their cameras, but the bodyguards didn't move an inch. Lin Xiao stepped out from behind the crowd and clapped her hands. Mr. Qi, don't bother. Mr. Zhao's men were all taken over an hour ago by the chairman of Huasheng's own daughter, the real Mrs. Zhao. Mr. Zhao can barely save his own skin right now. He doesn't have time to worry about a stray dog like you. Qi Shunji collapsed into his chair, looking at the settlement agreement that bore his own signature but was actually a full confession of his crimes. He let out a low guttural growl like a trapped beast. Yi Junjun, you're a monster. A monster. I walked up to him, snatched the recording pen from his hand and dropped it straight into a glass of wine. Qi Shunji, compared to what you did to my father, this is nothing more than an equivalent exchange. I leaned close to his ear and whispered, the last page, it was never in your hands to begin with. Su Hong gave me the original list long ago. I only came here today to make you play the clown one last time in front of the city's media. I turned and walked away, leaving behind the swarm of reporters and Qi Shunji's piercing screams. As I stepped out of the restaurant, the cold night wind jolted my senses. Junjun, where to? Lin Xiao asked. The police station. My eyes were ice cold. Hand this signed agreement to Liu. Tell him to add another charge to Qi Shunji's file, forging evidence and intimidation. I want to make sure he never steps foot out of prison for the rest of his life. Sitting in the car, I looked at the final message Su Hong had sent to my phone. MS. Yi, I found the owner of the bank account on the last page of the list. It's not Zhao Jianhua, it's Qi Shunji's biological mother. My pupils contracted sharply. Qi Shunji's mother, the woman who was declared dead from illness 10 years ago. It turned out this game ran far deeper than I had imagined. The wind outside the Madeleine was like a knife, but the sting on my face kept me sharper than ever. Junjun, to the station, Lin Xiao asked as she started the car. No, the plan has changed. I stared at the name on my screen, Shunman, Qi Shunji's biological mother, the woman who supposedly died of a sudden heart attack brought on by excessive grief 3 months after the Pinghai chemical plant explosion. To the Huisheng building, I said coldly. Huisheng, didn't Zhao Jianhua already flip? He was just cutting off his tail to survive. But he didn't tell me that Shunman is still alive and right under his nose. I gripped my phone tight. Shunman's name on the beneficiary list means the Qi family wasn't used by Zhao Jianhua. The Qi mother and son set the trap themselves. They dragged Zhao into it and pushed my father out as the scapegoat. That money ended up in Shunman's offshore trust fund. Lin Xiao gasped. Are you saying Qi Shunji has been acting for 10 years? He played the devoted husband to you and the loyal dog to Zhao Jianhua. But he was the puppet master all along. We'll find out when we get there. Half an hour later, in a closed-door meeting room on the top floor of the Huisheng building, when I pushed the doors open, a secret asset restructuring meeting was underway. Zhao Jianhua sat at the head of the table, facing several representatives from overseas investment banks. His face turned livid the moment he saw me. Ms. Yi. This isn't a place for you to run wild. Qi Tech has been liquidated, and our cooperation is over. He gestured for security to remove me. I didn't move. I tossed the photocopy of the list's final page onto the center of the conference table. Mr. Zhao, how much longer did you plan on hiding the fact that Shunman is still alive? Zhao Jianhua's body went visibly rigid. A murderous glint flashed in his cloudy eyes. Yi Zhenzhen, watch your words. Watch my words, I sneered, glancing at the overseas representatives. Gentlemen, the Manhattan Trust project you are discussing is built on dirty money. The seed capital for this trust came from a chemical plant explosion 10 years ago that killed 16 people. If this deal goes through, your banks will face a full-scale international anti-money laundering investigation. The representatives looked at each other and immediately snapped their laptops shut. Yi Zhenzhen, Zhao Jianhua slammed his hand on the table and stood up, his voice hoarse. What the hell do you want? I want to see Shunman. I walked up to him, leaning over the table. I know she's in that private sanatorium under your name. Qi Shunji just tried to kill me at the restaurant. I don't believe for a second that Shunman didn't know about it. If you don't take me there, this list goes to Interpol in 5 minutes. Zhao Jianhua glared at me, the veins in his forehead bulging. After a full minute of a silent standoff, he slumped back into his chair and waved for everyone to leave. You win. Shunman is indeed alive. Zhao Jianhua looked like he had aged 10 years in an instant. But she's insane. She's been gone since 10 years ago. Everything Qi Shunji did, the money, the climbing, it was all to keep that living corpse comfortable. Lead the way. At a highly discreet private sanatorium on the outskirts of the city, after passing through 3 iris scanners, I saw Shunman in the deepest room of the intensive care ward. She wore a simple silk nightgown, sitting in a wheelchair and looking out at the withered trees through the window from behind. Her silhouette had a strange youthful quality if you ignored the shock of white hair. Mom, Zhenzhen is here to see you, Zhao Jianhua said, his voice carrying an odd hint of fear. Mom, my pupils shrank. Zhao Jianhua called her mom. He's not her son, Lin Xiao whispered in my ear. Zhao Jianhua was Shunman's bodyguard back in the day. He married into the Huisheng family later. Shunman slowly turned her wheelchair around. Her face was impeccably maintained. She barely looked 50, but her eyes were hollow and dead, filled with a haunting obsession. Zhenzhen, she spoke, her voice raspy like sandpaper on stone. You look so much like your father. Even that annoying look of integrity in your eyes is exactly the same. Why did you frame him? I asked, trembling as I fought back the rage in my chest. Shunman chuckled, stroking the armrest of her wheelchair. Because he was too stubborn. That batch of chemical waste could have been sold for 10 times the price if we just changed the serial numbers, but he insisted on filing a report if he didn't die. How was the Qi family supposed to get rich? If I didn't die, how was I supposed to avoid the investigation from above? So you faked your death, let Qi Shunji act as the frontman. and pulled the strings from the shadows. I stared at her. You arranged Mo Qianqian too, didn't you, to keep Qi Shunji in check so he wouldn't actually fall in love with me? Shunji, that boy has a soft heart. Shen Man's gaze turned cold. He actually thought about living a real life with you. I had to find a troublesome woman to keep him agitated, to remind him that his life belongs to me. That idiot Mo Qianqian was nothing more than a whetstone to keep him sharp. A shame that whetstone just sent your son to prison, I said coldly. Prison? Shen Man suddenly burst into a fit of laughter. You think he's going to stay there? Zhao Jianhua, tell her, how is the evidence handling going? Zhao Jianhua lowered his head. Unable to look at me, my heart skipped a beat. Just then my phone rang. It was Liu, his voice sounding defeated. Zhenzhen, something's wrong. Qi Shunji was snatched during transport. Someone swapped out all the original evidence at the courthouse, and old Zhong and Su Hong have been taken. Their whereabouts are unknown. I whipped my head around to look at Shen Man. She sat in her wheelchair, elegantly smoothing a stray white hair, and gave me a victor's smile. Ms. Yi, you're a top-tier headhunter. You're good at finding people, but don't forget, in this circle, capital is the real hunter. That list in your hand, it's just a scrap of waste paper now. Is that so? I didn't panic. Instead, I calmly sat on the sofa opposite her and pulled an iPad from my bag. Ms. Shen, did you really think I came here alone just to chat? Shen Man frowned. You think you snatched old Zhong and Su Hong? I swiped the screen to reveal a live feed of old Zhong and Su Hong drinking coffee in a police safe room. Those were body doubles Lin Xiao found. The real witnesses were moved to the provincial headquarters 3 hours ago. As for the 2 cars you hijacked, they're filled with high-grade GPS trackers and recording devices. Shen Man's expression finally crumbled. Also, your confession just now, admitting to killing my father and orchestrating the explosion, has been broadcast live to the Major Crimes Unit via this brooch on my lapel. I pointed to the small, unassuming pearl brooch on my suit. Mr. Zhao. I looked at Zhao Jianhua. What did you call her? Mom. If the real Mrs. Zhao hears you being so respectful to your first love's mother while helping her hide murder evidence, do you think your shares in Huasheng will still belong to A Zhao tomorrow? Zhao Jianhua's legs gave out and he slumped to the floor. You're broadcasting. Shen Man shrieked, lunging forward to grab the brooch. I stood up, looking down coldly at the woman who had orchestrated this conspiracy for a decade. Capital might be a hunter, but I am a headhunter. My job is to precisely capture every person's weakness and go for the kill. Shen Man, it's time for you and your son's show to be cancelled. Sirens wailed outside. The alternating red and blue lights reflected off Shen Man's pale face. The disguise she had maintained for 10 years was shattered. Yi Zhenzhen, I'll kill you. Shen Man pulled a pair of sharp gardening shears from beneath her wheelchair cushion and lunged at me like a madwoman. I dodged, grabbed a heavy ashtray from the table, and slammed it down hard on her one functioning leg. That, I spat, is for the 16 people who died. Shen Man fell to the ground, screaming. The police burst through the door. I straightened my blazer and walked out of that suffocating room without looking back. Lin Xiao followed me, letting out a long breath. Zhenzhen, the internet is blowing up. Mrs. Zhao just released a statement. She's suing for a clean break divorce. Qi Tech and Huasheng are finished. Not yet. I looked at the morning star rising in the distance. We haven't caught Qi Shunji yet. A man like him will strike back as long as he has a single breath left. Just as I was about to get into the car, a black sedan parked by the curb suddenly roared to life and accelerated toward me. Zhenzhen, look out. Lin Xiao shoved me aside. The tire grazed the hem of my clothes as the car slammed into a nearby lamppost. The door flew open. A blood-soaked Qi Shunji crawled out of the driver's seat, clutching a black handgun. His eyes were filled with the madness of someone who wanted to watch the world burn. Yi Zhenzhen, die. Bang, the deafening gunshot tore through the silence of the sanatorium grounds. The pain I expected never came. Instead, Lin Xiao let out a piercing scream. I snapped my eyes open to see smoke rising from Qi Shunji's gun, but the bullet had struck the concrete at his feet, leaving a scorched crater. His blood-covered hand was shaking so violently that his aim was completely off. Qi Shunji, you don't even have the nerve to kill someone. How can you talk about turning things around? I pushed past Lin Xiao and forced my racing heart to steady as I walked toward him, step by step. Stay back, stay back. Qi Shunji roared like a cornered beast. raising the gun again. His eyes were bloodshot and his face was contorted like a demon's. "It's all because of you. You destroyed everything. My mother is insane. The company is gone. Even that fox Zhao Jianhua sold me out. Yi Zhenzhen, why do you still get to act so high and mighty?" His expensive suit was in tatters, and blood mixed with engine oil dripped from his forehead down his cheek. "High and mighty," I sneered, stopping less than 3 meters from him. "Your own greed destroyed you. You strangled your own marriage and you let Shen Man kill my father, Qi Shenji, this pathetic stray dog. Look, this is your true face." "Shut up, you bitch." Qi Shenji lunged, realizing the gun wouldn't scare me. He tossed the jammed weapon aside and swung a fist at my face like a rabid dog. I dodged the first blow, but his follow-up swing caught my shoulder with a heavy thud. I stumbled back against the lamppost, the pain taking my breath away. "Zhenzhen." Lin Xiao tried to rush in, but Qi Shenji shoved her back. "Stay away or I'll throttle her." Qi Shenji grabbed my hair and slammed me against the car door. He was surprisingly strong. His fingers dug into my scalp and the stench of iron and sweat filled my nose. "Yi Zhenzhen, aren't you the great schemer? Scheme your way out of this." He laughed maniacally, raised his hand and delivered a brutal slap to my face. Crack, half my face went numb. And the metallic taste of blood filled my mouth. "That's for my 200 million in funding." He slapped me again. "And that's for my mother." He had completely lost it. This wasn't business anymore. This was a man whose core was built on insecurity, trying to find his last shred of dignity through violence. I grit my teeth. I didn't beg and I didn't scream. I stared him straight in the eyes while my hand slipped into my blazer pocket, where I had hidden the sharp, long gardening shears I'd swiped from Shen Man's room. "Are you done?" I spat out a mouthful of blood and looked at him coldly. "Qi Shenji, is beating women the only thing you're good at? I'm going to make you wish you were dead." He freed one hand and clamped it around my throat. The oxygen was cut off instantly. My vision began to blur into double images. Qi Shenji's twisted face loomed over me, his madness turning into a sick sense of relief as he watched me fade. Just as I was about to lose consciousness, I used every ounce of strength I had left to drive the shears deep into the meat of his thigh. "Ah!" Qi Shenji let out a horrific scream. The hand on my throat vanished instantly. He clutched his spurting leg and stumbled back. Looking at me in pure disbelief, I wheezed, drawing in huge lungfuls of fresh air. I grabbed the fire extinguisher from the base of the lamppost and swung it with everything I had right at his head. Thud. Qi Shenji collapsed like a piece of deadwood by the flowerbed. "This hit is for my father," I said. Propping my hands on my knees and coughing violently in the distance, the sirens grew louder. The flashing red and blue lights were already illuminating the gates of the nursing home. "Zhenzhen, you're bleeding." Lin Xiao rushed up to support me, her voice trembling with tears. "I'm not dead yet," I replied, pushing her aside to walk over to Qi Shenji. He was still alive, writhing in the mud and muttering incoherent curses. I pulled out my phone, started a global live stream and aimed the camera right at his pathetic, blood-stained and dirt-caked face. "Everyone, take a good look at the real face of your affectionate genius and industry leader, Qi Shenji." My voice was raspy but held a bone-chilling coldness. "He is the son of a murderer, a domestic abuser, and a coward who snaps at everyone like a stray dog when he's cornered." The live stream viewership surpassed 5 million. The comments section exploded. "OMG, this is terrifying. That's Qi Shenji. President Yi is a boss. That counterkill was epic. Look, the cops are here. He's finished for sure." Hearing the voices from the phone, Qi Shenji struggled to look up. The look in his eyes as he stared at the lens was one of pure despair. He knew that even if he survived, his life was effectively over. The police quickly cordoned off the scene. The lead officer was the head of the major crimes unit who had been cooperating with me. He glanced at Qi Shenji on the ground, then at my swollen face and the scissors in my hand. "Miss Yi, you are suspected of using excessive force in self-defense. We need you to come back to the station to give a statement." "No problem," I cooperated, raising my hands and letting them drape a coat over my shoulders. Just as I was about to get into the police cruiser, a black Rolls-Royce pulled up slowly outside the police line. The window rolled down, revealing a young, sharp face that bore a 50% resemblance to Qi Shenji. It was the illegitimate son who had been hiding in Southeast Asia, the Qi family's true ace in the hole, Qi Mo. He looked at Qi Shenji being loaded into the ambulance without a hint of sadness. Instead, his eyes reflected the cold indifference of someone who had just won a grand game. Then his gaze shifted to me. He raised his coffee cup in a mock toast, his thin lips moving to mouth two silent words, "Thank you." My entire body went rigid. So while I was fighting tooth and nail for revenge, I had inadvertently cleared the final obstacle for him to seize the family fortune. President Yi, Mr. Chi asked me to pass this along. An assistant in a sharp suit walked over and handed me a business card. He will cash out those 15% shares in Chi Tech at double the market price and deposit them into your account. Consider it a bonus for our successful cooperation. I took the card, my fingertips trembling slightly. A bonus. I let out a cold laugh and ripped the card to shreds right in front of him. Tell Chimo not to think he's won yet. What the Chi family owes me cannot be repaid with double the money. The assistant blinked, stunned, before politely excusing himself. As the police car started, I leaned back against the seat, watching the silhouette of the nursing home fade into the distance. Shunman was behind bars, Qishanji was ruined, and Zhao Jianhua had collapsed. But I knew a bigger storm was brewing within the so-called Southeast Asian Qi family. Lin Xiao, yeah. Look into Qi Mo, I want his entire history, don't waste a single minute. Zhenzhen, aren't you going to stop yet? I looked at my swollen face in the rearview mirror, my gaze becoming hollow and deep. Stop. In my father's list, Shunman and Zhao Jianhua were just the pawns, the real big player is standing right behind Qimo. I closed my eyes, my mind filled with Qimo's mocking smile. This revenge drama hadn't reached its true climax yet. The lights at the police station were blindingly white. By the time I finished my statement and stepped out, it was 4:00 a.m. Half of my face was badly swollen. Lin Xiao was fussing over me, pressing an ice pack to my cheek. I pushed her hand away, my eyes locked on a piece of audio that had just been restored by a technician. It was a background recording from a pen recorder that had accidentally captured a conversation during my scuffle with Qi Shunji outside the nursing home. Shunman, you botched it. Qimo is back in the country. If you can't protect that list, I can't protect your life. Lu Zhenting, that name hit me like a bombshell. He was the head of the country's largest energy giant, the Mr. Lu who frequently appeared on the evening news. It turned out he was the true invisible shareholder behind the Pinghai chemical plant, the ultimate beneficiary whose name had been erased from my father's list. Zhenzhen, you're going after Lu Zhenting. Lin Xiao's voice was shaking. That man can make us disappear with a snap of his fingers. Qi Shunji and Zhao Jianhua aren't even fit to carry his shoes. Whether I go after him isn't up to me, it's up to the evidence. I sneered, dialing Old Chen. Old Chen, did you crack the keys to those offshore tax haven accounts for Qi Tech? We're in, President Yi, but the money flow, it's bizarre, it's all being funneled into a private account called Mandala, and the withdrawal location is an abandoned villa district on the outskirts of the city. Abandoned villas. My eyes sharpened. That's property under Mo Qianqian's name. I grabbed my bag and headed straight for the parking lot. Lin Xiao, we're going to Mo Qianqian's. Qi Shunji is done, but the last bit of life-saving money the Mo family embezzled is still in her hands. That was Qi Shunji's tribute to Lu Zhenting. By 5:00 a.m. the abandoned villa district felt like a graveyard. Only one villa in the center was brightly lit. I pushed open the ajar door, the smell of cheap perfume and alcohol hit me instantly. In the lobby, Mo Qianqian was in a silk nightgown, clutching a wine glass and frantically stuffing gold bars and jewelry into a suitcase. Hurry, faster, she urged several men in black. Once we're out of the country, this is enough to last us several lifetimes. That idiot Qi Shunji actually thought I'd wait for him, haha. Miss Mo, are your travel documents ready? I stood at the top of the stairs, my voice cold. Mo Qianqian was so startled she dropped her glass. It shattered on the floor, the red wine splashing like a pool of dried blood. Yi Zhenzhen, why aren't you dead? She backed away in terror, pointing at the men in black. Kill her now, I'll pay you double. The men exchanged looks and were about to move, when a team of highly trained bodyguards burst through the front door, led by none other than Qimo. Miss Mo, I'm afraid you won't be taking a single cent of this money. Qimo strolled into the hall, looking as elegant and indifferent as ever. Seeing Qimo's backup, the men in black immediately dropped their weapons and fled. Mo Qianqian collapsed into her pile of jewelry, wailing. Chimo, I'm your brother's woman, you can't do this to me, my brother. Chimo kicked a gold bar aside with disgust, his currently lying in a hospital bed waiting for a court summons. As for you, Mo Chantian, this 300 million you embezzled is the cost Lu Junting personally ordered to be recovered. Do you really think you can swallow it? I walked up to Mo Chantian and snatched the flash drive she was clutching. This contains the evidence of Lu Junting's offshore capital flows, doesn't it? I glared at her, knowing she was at a dead end. Mo Chantian suddenly broke into a manic laugh. So what if it does, Yi Zhenjin? You think you win just because you have that? Lu Junting's people are right outside. None of you are getting out of here. As if on cue, the sound of rhythmic footsteps echoed from outside. Dozens of men in black suits with earpieces surrounded the villa. It was the Lu family's private security force. Chimo's expression finally shifted. He turned to me. Yi Zhenjin, it looks like we'll have to cooperate today. Cooperate? I scoffed, plugging the flash drive into my tablet and starting a global live stream. Mr. Lu, since your people are all here, why don't we discuss the flow of this 300 million in front of the entire country? Hundreds of thousands of people flooded the stream instantly. I faced the camera, displaying the transaction records one by one. Take a good look. Every cent eventually flowed into the subsidiaries of the Lu Group. The hard-earned money from the Pinghai chemical plant ended up as Mr. Lu's luxury penthouse in Manhattan. The footsteps outside stopped. As powerful as Lu Junting was, he feared public opinion most of all. He couldn't suppress a live stream with such ironclad evidence. President Yi, Mr. Lu would like to speak with you. A man in black entered the hall and handed me a satellite phone. I took it, my voice like ice. Mr. Lu, looking to silence a witness. After a long silence, a majestic elderly voice came through. Miss Yi, name your price. If you shut down the stream and destroy that drive, everything the Chi family owns, including Chimo's life, can be yours. Chimo let out a cold snicker nearby, a chill flashing through his eyes. The price I want is one you can't afford, I said, emphasizing every word. I want my father's name cleared, I want justice for those 16 lives, and I want you, Lu Junting, to stand trial in person. Stubborn girl, Lu Junting said, then hung up. The atmosphere outside reached a breaking point. They're going to storm the place. Chimo pulled out an exquisite ivory-handled pistol and stood in front of me. Yi Zhenjin, you're a real lunatic. Is it worth it for a dead man? It's worth it. I stared at the upload progress bar on the tablet. As long as the evidence reaches the Central Oversight Task Force's inbox, I don't care if I die here. Wanting to die, it's not that easy. I reached into my bag, pulled out 2 court summons, and threw them right in Mo Chantian's face. Mo Chantian, the first is a summons for the illegal misappropriation of company assets. The second is a witness statement signed by your father, Mo Dahai, in prison to save your life. He's already confessed everything about how Lu Junting instructed him to launder money back then. Mo Chantian froze, looking at the testimony bearing her father's thumbprint. She completely broke down. He confessed. How could he? Lu Junting will kill him. He has nothing left to lose, I said coldly. Mo Chantian, your only way out is to take this flash drive and turn yourself in. Lu Junting's people want you dead. Only the police can protect you now. Looking at the dark silhouettes outside the window, Mo Chantian finally realized she was just a disposable pawn in a game of capital. She grabbed the summons and the drive, screaming as she bolted for the back door. I'll confess, I'm turning myself in. Chimo tried to stop her, but I grabbed his sleeve. Let her go. A person as cowardly and greedy as her is the best blade to pierce Lu Junting's defense. Sure enough, as soon as Mo Chantian ran out, Lu's men hesitated. They didn't dare commit murder in public and could only watch as she scrambled into an armored press vehicle Lin Xiao had arranged. On the live stream, millions of viewers witnessed the whole thing. Lu Junting, you lost, I whispered to the void. Only Chimo and I remained in the hall. Impressive moves, President Yi. Chimo tucked his gun away, looking at me with a complex gaze. Sacrificing Mo Chantian to take down Lu Junting. Is it my turn next? As long as your last name is Chi, I won't let you off. I walked past him toward the door. Chimo, don't think taking a hit for me settles the score. What the Chi family owes me hasn't been repaid yet. I stepped out of the villa as the first rays of dawn finally pierced the darkness, Behind me, Mo Qianqian's mansion looked dilapidated and pathetic in the morning light. This pre-bankruptcy revelry had ended in total ruins. Under the cover of piercing sirens, the armored press vehicle smashed through the blockade of Lu's henchmen. Standing on the balcony of the unfinished building, I watched the alternating red and blue lights fade into the distance. The fire that had burned in my chest for 10 years finally reached its peak. Zhenzhen, Shun Man is missing. Lin Xiao's voice came over the radio, laced with panic. The nursing home's security feed was hacked, the duty nurse was knocked out, and her wheelchair was found abandoned by the back gate. My eyes turned fierce. She can't run far. Lu Zhenting is struggling to save himself. Shun Man is his only living witness. He'll either silence her or take her with him. Let's go to court. Today isn't just the bankruptcy hearing for Qi Tech, it's the final verdict for my divorce from Qi Shunji. 10:00 m, the third courtroom of the Intermediate People's Court. There was no luxury here, only the solemn national emblem and cold benches. Qi Shunji was led in by 2 bailiffs. His leg, which I had stabbed, was wrapped in thick bandages, causing him to limp heavily. Seeing me sitting at the plaintiff's table, his bloodshot eyes flashed with a venomous hatred. "Yi Zhenzhen, you're still alive," he hissed, his voice as weak as dried paper. "I wouldn't dream of dying before you're in prison." I smoothed the wrinkles on my suit and looked him dead in the eye. Qi Shunji, after today, the name Qi will be completely erased from the business history of Haicheng. Silence in the court. The judge struck the gavel. Since Qi Tech was involved in a major criminal case, the divorce proceedings were merged with the criminal trial. Qi Shunji's lawyer, the infamous legal viper, Mr. Zhong, pushed up his glasses and spoke with an air of arrogance. "Your Honor, while my client Mr. Qi Shunji may have experienced poor business management, he provided Miss Yi with an exceptionally lavish lifestyle throughout their marriage. Her allegations regarding the transfer of assets are entirely baseless. On the contrary, Miss Yi used her professional position to privately gut Qi Tech's core team, leading to the company's collapse. She should be the one compensating our party for losses. As for the divorce, we demand an equal split of the Xinyan headhunting studio and its actual assets registered under Miss Yi's name." From the defense stand, Qi Shunji shot me a gruesome grin, as if to say, "Even if I go down, I'm taking a piece of you with me." "Your Honor, we object." Da Liu stood up and handed over a heavy stack of folders. "These are the records of 57 wire transfers totaling 380 million renminbi made by Mr. Qi Shunji through the Mo family's trading company over the past 3 years. The final destination for every single cent was an account named Mandala." Attorney Zhong sneered. "Those are standard business transactions. The Mo family has already gone bankrupt. Dead men tell no tales. Who says the witness is dead?" The courtroom doors swung open with a bang. Mo Dahai walked in, clad in a prison uniform and escorted by 2 guards. His hair had turned white and his eyes were sunken. There was nothing left of the powerful CEO Mo he once was. "I will testify." Mo Dahai's voice echoed through the hollow chamber. "Every one of those 57 transfers was a fraudulent trade orchestrated by Qi Shunji. 200 million of that was used as hush money to cover up the aftermath of the Pinghai chemical plant explosion. The rest went straight into Shun Man's offshore trust." Qi Shunji bolted upright, his shackles clattering violently against the wooden chair. "Mo Dahai, you old senile fool. You're stabbing me in the back just to save your daughter." "Qianqian is my only daughter," Mo Dahai replied, tears streaming down his face. "Qi Shunji, a monster like you who would kill his own wife, doesn't get to talk to me about loyalty." Da Liu immediately dropped the second bombshell. "Your Honor, these are the mortgage contracts for all properties and luxury vehicles under Qi Shunji's name 6 months ago. He leveraged every asset he owned to Huasheng Capital. In other words, the assets he submitted to the court for liquidation are nothing but worthless debts." "But that's not all," I said, standing up and cutting Da Liu off. I stared at Qi Shunji's face as it drained of color, speaking each word with deliberate precision. "Qi Shunji, did you really think that by mortgaging your assets to Huasheng, I wouldn't be able to touch them? You forgot one thing. The person currently in control of Huasheng Group is my ally, Mrs. Zhao. 30 minutes ago, Mrs. Zhao signed a debt transfer agreement. Every property and share under your name now belongs to Xinyan Headhunting." Qi Shunji looked as if he'd been struck by lightning. He slumped into his seat. No, that's impossible. How could Zhao Jianhua just let go? Zhao Jianhua left the marriage with nothing. He can't even afford a lawyer right now. I sneered. Qi Shunji, as of this moment you have nothing to your name but your crimes. Yi Zhenjin, I'll kill you. Qi Shunji lunged at me in a frenzy, only to be pinned to the desk by bailiffs. His face was pressed against the cold wood like a hog at the slaughter. Just as chaos erupted in the courtroom, a commotion broke out in the hallway. Lin Xiao burst in, drenched in sweat, clutching a blood-stained leather bag. Zhenjin, we found it. Shun Man was intercepted at the Lu family's private dock. The room went dead silent. Lin Xiao emptied the contents of the bag onto the evidence table, a yellowed, blood-stained original check and an old cassette tape. Shun Man dumped this while she was trying to flee. The tape contains a recording from the night before the explosion 10 years ago. It's Lu Zhenting himself giving the order. I don't care if people die, just get that shipment out, and that check, that was the blood money Lu Zhenting paid to Qi Shunji's father. I took the check, my fingers trembling. On the back of the check were tiny words etched with a fountain pen by my father before he died. The truth is under Shun Man's bed. It turned out that before my father committed suicide, he had already uncovered everything. He didn't jump to his death out of despair. He died to hide this evidence in the most secret corner of the Qi household, using his life to leave a sliver of hope for the future me, Qi Shunji. You kept saying my dad was a corrupt criminal. I walked to the defense stand and slapped the check onto his face. Look at it, this is the money your father sold his soul for, and the evidence my father protected with his life. Every cent you spent over the last decade was soaked in my father's blood. As Qi Shunji stared at the check, the madness in his eyes finally extinguished, replaced by a soul-crushing despair. He had lost, he was stripped of everything, his wealth, his reputation, and his freedom. The court rules, the judge's voice was solemn and commanding, that the divorce between Yi Zhenjin and Qi Shunji is granted. The defendant, Qi Shunji, is hereby transferred to criminal court for trial on charges of attempted murder, illegal business operations and embezzlement. All hidden assets under his name are to be seized immediately to satisfy his debts. You're leaving with nothing, I said, looking down at him with a ruthless smile. Qi Shunji, I'm returning those words to you. As Qi Shunji was dragged away, he looked like a heap of trash, leaving a long, humiliating streak on the floor. Stepping out of the courthouse, the sunlight was blinding. Zhenjin, we won. Lin Xiao hugged me, sobbing uncontrollably. I looked at the dozens of media vans parked outside and the reflection of my own sharp, piercing eyes in the cameras. We haven't won yet. I looked toward the distant Lu Tower. Lu Zhenting hasn't fallen, Shun Man was intercepted, but what she's holding is the final blow. Just then, Qi Mo appeared out of nowhere. He was still in his impeccable suit, holding a newspaper. The front page headline screamed, Energy giant Lu Zhenting detained for major safety violations. He walked up to me and gave a slight bow. President Yi Shun Man suffered a sudden heart attack and died while being transported. I jolted dead at this exact moment. Did Lu Zhenting do it? I stared at Qi Mo. A dead person is the safest secret. Qi Mo replied, handing me the paper, his eyes deep and unreadable. However, she saw me right before she passed. She asked me to give you a message. What message? She said, the person on your father's list has never changed. Lu Zhenting was just the fall guy. I gripped the newspaper, my fingers tearing through the thick paper. A fall guy. I looked at Qi Mo. Beneath that face so similar to Qi Shunji's, there seemed to be a secret more terrifying than the abyss itself. Qi Mo, whose side are you really on? He smiled, a warm, gentlemanly smile that sent a shiver down my spine. I'm on the side of the winner, President Yi. Congratulations. You have officially entered the top-tier hunting grounds of capital. The wind outside the court swirled a few dead leaves across the empty steps. As Qi Shunji was shoved into the police van, his dead-fish eyes remained fixed on me. His lips moved as if he wanted to say something, but all that came out was a shrill, miserable laugh. Zhenjin, Shun Man's death is definitely not simple. Lin Xiao walked quickly to my side, her phone vibrating in her hand. The coroner's preliminary ruling is a heart attack, but my sources say that before she was caught, Shun Man visited the Lu family's ancestral estate. The person she met wasn't Lu Zhenting. I rubbed the photocopy of that blood-stained check. My heartbeat steadied, but it felt cold as ice. If it wasn't Lu Zhenting, who was it? Lin Xiao lowered her voice, each word squeezed through her teeth. It was Lu Zhenting's father, the man who has been retired for 20 years, the energy tycoon Lu Zhongxing. I let out a self-deprecating scoff. So that was it. Lu Zhenting was just a shield at the front for the family. The real mastermind was the business legend who had long been mythologized. My father hadn't just reported a factory accident. He had reported the original sin that the Lu family was built upon. President Yi, we meet again. Qi Mo was standing by his Rolls-Royce, elegantly adjusting his cuffs. His deep eyes reflected the solemn silhouette of the courthouse. Qi Mo, you helped me take down Qi Shenji, you helped me intercept Shen Man. And now you're telling me Lu Zhenting is just a fall guy. I walked up to him, my gaze sharp. What exactly do you want, the Qi family fortune or a seat at the Lu family table? Qi Mo chuckled softly and pulled out a pre-prepared share transfer agreement. I stopped caring about the Qi fortune a long time ago. As for the Lu family, he paused, a rare flash of ruthlessness in his eyes. My mother died in that explosion too. She was Lu Zhongxing's hidden mistake. That idiot Qi Shenji thought I was a threat to him, when in reality I was his only lifeline. Too bad he chose Shen Man. I was stunned. So Qi Mo wasn't just a greedy illegitimate son, he was a seeker of vengeance. So, you used me to tear open the Lu family's defenses. Mutual benefit, President Yi. Qi Mo handed me the agreement. These are the remaining core shares of Qi Tech. Now, you own the company in its entirety. As for me, I'm going to take back the surname that belongs to me. Lu Zhongxing owes me more than just one life. He turned and got into his car, the roar of the engine echoing at the corner. I looked at the heavy document in my hand, but I felt no thrill of victory. Just then Lin Xiao's phone rang. She looked at the caller ID, and her face went deathly pale. Her hand was shaking so hard she could barely hold the phone. What is it? I frowned. It's my mom, Lin Xiao said, her voice cracking. She's in the US, but she just sent me a photo. She's sitting in the Lu family's private estate in California, having tea, sitting right next to her is Lu Zhongxing. My blood froze. Lu Zhongxing was threatening me. He was using Lin Xiao's family to warn me to back off. Zhenjin, I'm so sorry, I didn't know. Lin Xiao covered her mouth, tears falling. Lu Zhongxing had a message passed along. If you destroy the original copy of that list, he guarantees the Lin family a life of luxury otherwise. Looking at Lin Xiao's breakdown, a wave of bitterness washed over me. This was the top-tier hunting ground of capital. There was no smoke, but death was everywhere. Lin Xiao, don't be afraid. I held her, but my eyes were fixed on the distant Lu Tower. I won't destroy the list, but I will send Lu Zhongxing a gift he can't refuse. That night at the Lu estate, it was an understated but incredibly lavish private dinner. Lu Zhongxing sat at the head of the table in a tailored Maro suit, clutching a string of prayer beads, looking like a kind old man from next door. Miss Yi, you have your father's backbone. Lu Zhongxing signaled the server to pour me tea. Pity that backbone is worthless in the face of absolute power. I sat across from him, the list that could take down the entire Lu family tucked in my bag. Mr. Lu, using Lin Xiao's mother to threaten me, isn't that a bit beneath you? I took a sip of tea, appearing perfectly composed. Methods don't matter, only results do. Lu Zhongxing set down his beads, his eyes turning razor-sharp. Give me the list and the Lin family is safe. Qi Shenji's case ends with Lu Zhenting and I'll make sure you become the most powerful headhunter in Haicheng. Otherwise, the moment you walk out those doors, you become a missing person. I laughed. It was a loud, bold laugh that sounded jarring in the silent estate. Mr. Lu, I think you've forgotten what my profession is. A headhunter. Lu Zhongxing curled his lip in disdain. In my eyes, you're just a clever little prey. No, the core of headhunting isn't finding people, it's resource exchange. I pulled out an old tablet instead of the list. The screen lit up, showing a global livestream taking place overseas at that very moment. Mr. Lu, take a look at this. This is the successor I've handpicked for you. On screen, Qi Mo was standing outside the New York Stock Exchange, holding every ledger of the Lu family's offshore money laundering and illegal trades. Being interviewed by global mainstream media, Lu Zhongxing's face turned livid. He bolted upright, his prayer beads snapping and scattering across the floor. You sent Qi Mo overseas. Mr. Lu, did you really think that by controlling the media and the law domestically, you could cover the sky with one hand? I turned off the screen slowly. Chimo is now a protected witness for the U.S. Department of Justice. He doesn't just have the list, he has the records for every underground bank you've built over the last 20 years. Once that gavel falls over there, every asset you have in this country will be frozen indefinitely. Yi Zhenjin, you lunatic, Lu Zongsheng roared, his kindly face twisting into something monstrous. You think Chimo will let you live? Once he takes over the Lu family, you'll be the first person he eliminates. That's a problem for later. For now, he is my most successful catch. I stood up, looking down at the man who was once an untouchable titan of industry, Mr. Lu. Lin Xiao's mother has already safely boarded a flight back home. As for you, you should worry about how to destroy the secrets in your study that you haven't processed yet. After all, the Interpol private jet is about to land. I pushed open the heavy oak doors outside. The moonlight was as cold as frost. One by one, the lights of the Lu estate went out behind me, signaling the end of an era. 1 month later, when news of Qi Shunji's suicide in prison reached Haicheng, I was standing in the top-floor office of the newly established Zhenyan Investment, looking out at the river view. Shunman was dead, Qi Shunji was dead, Lu Zhenting was behind bars, and Lu Zongsheng, who had been granted medical parole due to his failing health, had died of a sudden brain hemorrhage the following morning. Every name on my list had been crossed off. Zhenjin, Chimo sent an invitation. He wants you at the gala celebrating his takeover of the Lu Group. Lin Xiao walked in looking sharp. Since her mother's return, she had become even more resolute. Decline it for me. I looked at the sharp reflection of myself in the window. Tell Chimo our cooperation ends here. If he ever becomes like Lu Zongsheng, I'll personally put him on the headhunter blacklist. Lin Xiao smiled. I doubt he'd dare. I tucked the original bloodstained check away, locking it in a safe along with the photo of my father. My phone screen lit up with a new email. President Yi, I have heard much of your reputation. I am a competitor of the Lu Group in Southeast Asia, and I would like to hire you to hunt someone. I closed the screen, a meaningful smile playing on my lips. In this world, there is no such thing as truly leaving with nothing, nor is there such a thing as absolute revenge. There is only the question of who survives longer in the sea of capital, and who can maintain a shred of humanity in this never-ending hunt. My name is Yi Zhenjin, I am a headhunter, and I have officially entered the game, the END.